kind of obnoxiously busy at the moment, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this time around. A joint book review. 2 book reviews in one. And yes, I know, this isn't new. I'm a little late to catch on to this trend. Another thing is, it's already hard enough to fit in 1 book review in a 5 to 10 minute period. Like, have you heard me talk? I can babble forever. But this time, I'm gonna be careful. This time, I'm gonna get 2 book reviews done in 1 sitting. So this is new. Right. But I have faith. Let's do this. Alright, since we're a little pressed for time, I'm not going to give you a 30-second summary for either books. You are an intelligent human being with internet, obviously. Get on Amazon and read the synopsis. Let me start with this. You guys bothered me for such a long time to read this series. And I think the reason why I put it off is because somebody told me it was the saddest series they've ever read. I don't do sad. I don't like sad. And I know. I am so closed-minded, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I don't mind sad parts in books, but when somebody tells me a book is sad, I think of like a sad book. I don't do sad books. I don't do that. So that's why I put it off for so long. But finally you guys pressed me enough and I was like, all right, whatever. And can I just say it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. This is me reviewing all of the Chaos Walking series together. That's The Knife of Never Letting Go, the Ask and the Answer, and Monsters of Men. It's in the right order, right? I'm not gonna lie, when I first started reading them, I was a little bit put off by the writing style. All the ain'ts and run-on sentences and weird one-worded sentences and the noise, and it was extremely confusing to a person who's extremely used to the average YA fiction structure. But I gave it 5 chapters and I immediately was hooked. Holy brilliant. This writing style is amazing because you don't see it very often. People don't usually take this leap because it's kind of a huge leap. And you either make it or you don't. You either write a book that is brilliance with a lot of grammatical errors but for a purpose, or you write a book that is a lot of grammatical errors. You get used to the style and the way it flows, and in a way, it's like poetry in your head. Like, once you start reading it at a certain pace, you realize the brilliance of it. Everything flows. It's really cool. And while that flows, the characters just flow right along with it. And you love Todd and Viola so much. You literally don't want a single thing happening to them, which is unfortunate because absolutely everything happens to them. Everything. Their character development is subtle, but it's there. Like, it's very clear that the Viola and the Todd at the beginning of the series are not much like the Viola and Todd at the end. A lot of things change. It's just that Todd doesn't spend 20 pages talking about the change. It's all about the perception of the reader. Would you look at that? And their romance is one of the best romances I've read about in forever. 0 making out scenes, and it's still one of the best romances of all time. So plot was good, flowed wonderfully, the characters were amazing. The plot was so creative. You know how you always pick up that structure in YA fiction that it's kind of like other YA fiction books, but there's some differences, so you're okay with reading it? It's really, really hard to avoid that particular structure, and I don't blame any authors for following it. I don't. It doesn't mean you're not creative, it just means you're following a structure and adding in your own stuff. But Patrick Ness threw that out the window and did his own thing, and I really, really appreciated it. My only complaint would probably be the end of the series. Like, what the heck? It's kind of like waiting for a giant bomb to explode for 3 books, and then the ticker goes all the way down to 0. And nothing happens. Except this bomb was going to explode like candy and flowers and warm bread and all the things that you love and adore. And it didn't explode. So you were left kind of empty and unsatisfied, but not with the series as a whole, just with the ending. I mean, that's just how I felt. I was just like, and? Where's the next page? Alright, let's talk about the second book. This one I would like to physically show you. You know me, I don't buy a lot of books unless it's a series I love, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, Twilight, etc., etc. But I should warn you, if you're going to buy this book, do not buy an ebook version, because you will miss all the imagery goodness. I think the absolute best part of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is the writing style. This isn't Patrick Ness, though. This is something not entirely new. What I loved about this was it was a lot like reading a classic book. It was very Great Gatsby mixed with Catcher in the Rye. These days, books tend to be a little more character-driven, which isn't a bad thing, but I mean like a clump of central characters. The author will pick 4 or 5, and we as readers become very intimate with the thoughts of those 4 or 5 characters. While we get a good look in the main character's lives, he pays attention to the other kids, all these details. It's a very classic way of writing. He takes the time to describe things that you would notice. I mean, let's be real, we're all humans here, or demigods, or something else, which is kind of a frightening thought. I mean, we're human. We perceive different things at once. We're not constantly focusing on one person, one thing at a time, which is how a lot of authors write. We focus on details. We take in colors and smells and sights. I love the way Ransom captures that. Literally, my favorite thing about the whole book was the writing style. Because I love classics. I love to read classics, so it felt like I was just reading another classic. But anyway, we'll get to the plot. Wow. 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 The darkness of the themes and the plot. The darkness and the humor, but it's all told realistically. So you're not sitting there thinking, well, this is fiction. You're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, run for your life! I hope I'm making sense right now. Plot, pacing, writing style, excellent. Excellent. Keeps you interested the entire time. It's not constantly moving like this, but you still want to keep reading. Every single character introduced is important and interesting. As you guys know, that is a big thing with me. Just because a character is minor doesn't mean they have to be boring. There doesn't seem to be many minor characters in this. I feel like everyone plays a part. I love to see that come together in the end. When every character plays an important part, watching that come together in the end, that's super cool to me. And another thing. Hi, someone get their hands on this and make a movie. Please. Please. I'm using my nice tone. Wait. Now I'm using my nice tone. Please, please somebody make this into a movie before someone's unfortunate throat becomes acquainted with my fist. So that's it. 2 beautiful books that I totally recommend. Oh, and one last thing before I go. Spoiler. Who else knew that Mayor Prentice was evil the entire time and never once doubted it? Anybody? Please, please say yes. Did anybody else get so mad with the end of Monsters of Men and went to go read The New World, thinking, oh my gosh, The New World, that means Viola's story, and so we can find out what happens to her and Todd, and maybe it's just a little bit extra so we can know how it ends. And then you find out it's a prequel and every last ray of sunshine inside of you dies. Yeah. So subscribe, comment, thumbs up if you're a peculiar kid. Thumbs down if you don't know. I can't think of a second thing. This never happens to me.